Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's talk is about the Georgia Guidestones. Let's go straight to it. I'm going to just let you know you can get it from Wikipedia and also the Smithsonian Institute. But I'm going to use the Smithsonian's Institute's one. That is the Smithsonian's magazine. Like most of my transmissions, please listen very carefully. Whenever you're reading any documents, always read it from the bottom to top, especially official documents. Full stop. Now, the Georgia Guidestones have a lot of talk about them, that they're going to bring humanity to an end, and let's hope that they do exactly that. However, there will be a culling process. Now, what is it that I'm saying? I'm the Chief Federal Postal Court Judge, Plenipotentiary Judge, here about to educate you. Most people on this planet, we're talking about a huge percentage, is all reactionary and what is known as human. And on my other broadcasts, I have made it very clear that human is just another word for the individuals that are corporate. In other words, we're not dealing with men and women. They are corporate. Human is another word for corporate. You know that, and I'm driving home that message loud and clear to you. Now that you have been educated on the fallacy of what you thought under presumption and assumption was human, was like being a man or a woman, you find now it's a complete and utter difference. It's a mirroring effect. In fact, it is the direct reverse image in meaning, connotation, and the rest of it, away from what you presume and assume. In doing so, I also told you and proved to you, and I think it's never been done on the internet. I did search for it, but there is none I can find. Also, remember that the search engines are highly censored according to IP address, so it could be that I'm just being censored. Let's hope other people are fully aware of what I am saying. Otherwise, it's a very sad world. Now, I also said to you that when you have human aid, humanitarian relief, these words are the very words that allow the corporate governments to collect money from you and pass it on to the corporations that they themselves created the conflict of. Let me paraphrase this to you. If the Ukraine is at war, charities will come up and raise money for humanitarian aid, humanitarian relief, and the variety of names that they use. Look it up and you'll find quite literally there are thousands after thousands calling themselves humanitarians, including in international human rights, okay, which are very large organizations. When you give them money for that charity, they're essentially going to give it to the corporations that is creating the conflict itself. So if they are raising money for humanitarian child relief, child is a ward of state. They are raising money for the state that is creating the conflict to begin with. Let me paraphrase it again. If you have individuals like the ones that did first aid, not first aid, I've forgotten his name, the Irishman. Give me a second, I'll think of it. He at the moment is raising money, comes on telly, and his name has completely slipped out of my head. Live Aid. Yeah, Live Aid. All that is humanitarian relief. The individual character that created that knows exactly what he's doing. And if he's not, he's just been walked into the misprision rule of treason and felony. When they raise money for these children, they're about to hand it over to the very corporations that created the starvation, the conflict, the torture, and the rest of it. Just like the Miliband brothers, when they raise money for humanitarian aid, they are exactly doing the very thing that causes the problem. You people out there, you know, the 96,000 subscribers to my channel, have been educated. So please share this knowledge with what I'm talking about to the rest of the world, because it's all qualified. Now, you know, there are some characters in society like Hitler that has been personified as the walking, talking evil, without even having one single piece of the first-hand knowledge or evidence that he is that, or even Hitler existed. They actually don't know. But if you go to my website, you'll get a very good read-up as to who they are and what they are, and how much you have been lied to. So if I was to raise money for, say, in World War II, for the children, you know, humanitarian aid for Germany's orphaned children, do you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to raise money in England, Great Britain, United Kingdom, and transfer that money to the Nazis that created the conflict to begin with. You understand what I am talking about? You are listening to this transmission into the misprision rule of a felony and treason, which means you now have knowledge of a crime and you have to stop and correct it. Otherwise, you're as guilty as the guilty party perpetrating this. You have to stop that character that did the Live Aid. You have to stop the Miliband brothers, because I have to as well. And it wouldn't be lovely if I saw you do that as well, rather than just leaving it up to the Federal Postal Court, or be it just me. I would very much like that from you. Sorry, I was just reading a message that came up on YouTube. We'll continue. It's not messaged by one of the listeners, it's from YouTube itself. What I have told you and the rest of the world, I have given you so much power that of a stroke of a pen, you can turn these things around. These things also operate out of the UN building, which administer humans. And all those members in the United Nations buildings, they're all humans, which is another word for monsters. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, and I'm asking you for the third time, please take your pen, put it onto paper, and disqualify these freaks from our world. Now that you know this, which has all been qualified, let's read this Georgia Guidestone, which most people are so frightened of. Human beings defecate in their pants when they hear this. Okay? Number 10. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Is there any part of that that sounds deadly? It's like me coming up to you and saying, let's make sure that there is enough room for nature, and let's not be a cancer on it where we're going to throw chemicals, germ warfare, Agent Orange all over nature to bring it to its knees, which is what the corporate government has done. The very nature of a corporate government is to lock down nature, where you even have to pay for sunshine as well as oxygen, which is what they call carbon taxes. But all of these things have been turned around in the favor of people and the planet. So number 10, there seems to be nothing adverse about that, even though it's written in a negative state of condition. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. It's just common sense stuff, is it not? Without the grass that grows in your back garden, you're not going to be able to breathe very well, are you? Without the trees, you're not going to be able to breathe well, are you? They enrich the soil, they enrich our life. Without it, you're extinct. You understand what the word extinct means? It means dead. Let's have a look at number 9. Prize truth. Prize truth. Beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Prize truth. That's another way of saying prize those relationships that you have with each other. Beauty. See the beauty in things, nature, plants, trees, insects, whether they bite you or not. Yeah. You have to see the beauty in things, the beauty in what I'm saying, and the beauty of you folks listening to me and making your comments. That's a beautiful experience. The love. Well, that's a universal binding language, an emotion that we all have for each other. That's why we work so hard, as well-meaning as we are, to make sure these things are safe, that these things are safe, and that the corporate world doesn't toxify that as well. Seeking harmony with the infinite. What a beautiful phrase. Harmony means me and you being congruent with each other. I being congruent with you, you being congruent with me. That's harmony. Yeah, harmony is like another way in business is that you are happy with the deal and I am happy with the deal. Let's move forward. A conflicting way of saying is that in Asia, we're talking about Chinese. I'm not talking about India or Indians or any other races. In China and Japan and these countries, in any business affairs, they reach for harmony. Out of harmony, you can easily start to cannibalize, the lectures of which I've already delivered. Let's go on to number 8. Balance personal rights with social duties. So if you are a corporate enterprise, balance personal rights as a corporation or as a cooperative with social duties. So if you are a fiduciary of a company, where's your social duties or your communal duties? Destroying nature, lying, cheating, pillaging, creating personages and baratry, lying, cheating like the judges and the City of London lawyers and the banksters do. This is all disharmony. Anybody that doesn't have a social contract is about to get flushed down the toilet. And I'll show you the proof of that. In fact, it's already been injected into the vast majority of people, injected into them. I think you know what I mean. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Number 7. I mean, isn't that common sense? Avoid petty laws, laws that do not establish and make coherent human relationships, or even relationships with men and women, corporations, governments, or whatever it is. They are petty. Every politician, every one of these bankers, lawyers, judges, they are goddamn damned petty. In fact, they are disgusting. They are vulgar to our very nature. And useless officials. Do you know that 90% of officials, bureaucrats, politicians, police officers, sheriffs, deputies, coroners, lawyers, judges, the list goes on and on, are all going to be brought to an extinction. In other words, they're going to be killed by the very things that they have already submitted themselves to. So what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, this constitution, or Guidestones as it were, sounds bloody good for man and women and nature. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. How many useless officials do you know in Washington, D.C.? How many useless officials do you know that run police departments? How many useless officials are there in banks or the banks themselves? Sounds like a bloody good deal for men and women and for the earth, nature. Number 6. I hope you guys can read this, that it's visible on your screen. Number 6. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. The Court for International Human Rights is a corporate court. It's got nothing to do with men and women. And the international courts at the moment are bloody useless. That's why the Federal Postal Court is in existence. Yeah, we are the system that they are talking about. Okay? So, let me make it clear if I have not. The International Courts of Human Rights is about the rights of a corporation. It's got nothing to do with men and women. Shocking, isn't it? That's why I created, through David Wayne Miller, the Federal Postal Court globally, and the position of a plenipotentiary judge, and as well as the master for this planet, this earth, this world, and the other names that you may come up for it, which all have their jurisdiction. At the moment, you have no courts apart from my court that services men and women, as well as keeping the corporate world at bay. That sounds a bloody good deal, doesn't it? Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Once again, it's reinforcing what I have already done. The Federal Postal Court. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. This is why when I banned piracy, marks and reprisals, it went into law and it was banished. That took down $1 trillion economy, probably every quarterly. That's how vast it is, and that's the power of the word of a man like me. You understand what I'm saying? Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts, which is totally and utterly void on this planet, with the exception of the Federal Postal Court. And now my tricks and traps students all have legislative, judicial, and executive powers. Number 4, rule passion. Rule passion. Wherever there is a rule, there is a ruler. In this case, you are the ruler because this is speaking to you. Passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Tempered reason, tempered means of a worldly matter. Yeah, let people live well, strong, fit, powerful on a temporal plane, which is the worldly matter, the houses that you live in, the relationships and the businesses that you have. That's what that's about. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Like the temporal, I've forgotten the name, but I'll think of it again. These days I seem to be forgetting a few of these names, probably because there are so much of these things that I have to deal with that I think I simply forget. So, the temperance movement, the women's temperance movement, that taught men and women to be, temper their alcoholism, their smoking, their stupidity. They did a fantastic job in the dawn of the century, the temperance movement, because these worldly toxic things can totally and utterly destroy you. Okay? So just read that again with me. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So far, we're like into 75% of this Guidestone, and not one single one is belligerent or wants to kill people and destroy people or anything like that. What's going on here? I thought it was one of the most disgusting things that has ever been written. I thought it was about killing people. So far, nothing. Unite humanity with a living language. Unite humanity with a living language. Humanity, as you know, are corporates. So this whole constitution is talking to people as well as humanitarians. People that wish to just remain corporate enterprises because that's the program that they find most suitable for them, because probably being men and women is too much for them. That's why you have so many people that are just nothing more than talking fashion shows, attitudes. Look outside. Where are the men and women in these religions, in these ideologies, in these institutions? There isn't any. We are dealing with humanity. Since they are here, it looks like they need to be controlled because humanity is out of control. Unite humanity with a living language, a living language. Ladies and gentlemen, that language was created by David Wayne Miller, a language that can be read from left to right and right to left. And it is mathematically certified. And it is my job to make sure that language reaches all of mankind all over the planet. And, what I'm saying to you, this Constitution is talking on so many levels to you. It's asking you to actually unite, whether you are people or humanity. Business is about human relationships. Marriages are about human relationships. Being a father or a mother or a friend to another friend is about human relationships. Trust comes from the word three. It means three titles. When three people come together like a live life claim, you've created a trust position. We're right up to now 80% of this I have no disagreement with, and I doubt if you do as well. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. What they're basically saying, and I'll remove this word basic, it's obvious. Do you really want to have more and more children that you can't look after, I beg your pardon? It's a guide. If you want 2 children, lovely. 3, 4, lovely. But do it collectively. No animal on this planet ever reproduces outside of what nature can support. You can study that, for example, in the island of Lesbos, which is very famous amongst lesbians. There they did a study where they revealed where the next season would have less vegetation. The goats began to practice homosexuality, and they didn't get themselves pregnant. And what happened is that herd of goats survived the hardship because they knew it was coming. But of course they got sexual wants like we do, so they took to homosexuality. There are a multitude of reasons that you are not aware of. Yeah, that's one classical example. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. What it's saying is so profoundly easy to understand. Improve your fitness. Do you remember, over a year ago, I was getting fitter and fitter and fitter with Mustafa? Okay, and then a whole heap of things happened which caused me to put on weight. Yeah, because I left myself open, which I'm in control now. So as a result, you will see my fitness improve again because I've put on weight. And diversity. I've taken on another clerk for our court, the Federal Postal Court. Yeah, and I'm looking to recruit more because the workload on me at this moment, as well as the other judges, on me, speaking for myself, it's like 14, 15 hours a day. Like today, for example, I started 9 and I'll finish round about 1 o'clock at night, or in the morning, as it were, 1 o'clock in the morning. Those are the things that needs to be done, but it comes with a cost. Yeah, and what it's basically saying, look, Mark, the first rule is look after yourself, okay, which I've taken on board, and that will cause diversity. My Federal Postal Court has so many different races, as it were. Hugh, he's from Vietnam. Shako, he's from Congo. Alex is from Russia. Lance is United States of America. Yeah, Richard is Irish. Irene is Irish. Yeah, and the latest lady we have, Charlotte, she's Australian. Okay. So, yeah, those are the things that I'm putting into place. So far, I'm into now 90% of this. And I can't find a single reason why this Guidestone, this guidance, cannot be adapted by men and women as well as humans all around the world. Now let's have a look at number 1. Maintain humanity under 5 500,000 in perpetual balance with nature. That's what frightens most people, is because they never understood until I came along and told them what humanity really means. What they're basically saying is that it's not a good idea to have more than 500,000 corporations, walking, talking corporations on this planet. And those corporations, companies, have to be in perpetual balance with nature. And if men and women opt out of being men and women and take up the position of being human, that's fine. But you're not going to grow to more than 500,000 in balance with nature. You're never going to threaten nature again. That I promise you. If I need to put 1,000 judges into prison, I'm going to. If I need to put those sheriffs in the United States into prison, I will do so. And I'm working on that. And it will happen. Now that you have understood that there is a clear distinction between humanity and people, what else can you possibly agree or disagree with? It makes it very clear. 500,000. That's it. But those companies, those humans, have to be in perpetual balance with nature. In perpetual balance. Perpetual means forever. Nature is the ultimate creditor. If you freaks out there have not understood that, get the hell off my planet. You can start by flushing yourself down that toilet. The sewage system will be able to take care of you. But don't overload the sewage system as well. Try to time it so you don't overload the sewage system with your garbage. What you're looking at is a verse of Genesis chapter 11. I think it's chapter 11. The Tower of Babel. Listen carefully. Now the whole world had one language. Oh, wow. The language, we had one language. Could it be we're going to get another language called quantum language, like quantum computers, quantum mathematics? Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. That means every single race had one language. As people moved eastwards, they found a plain in Sinia and settled there. We've missed a particular chapter, but it gets into it. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used bricks. They used brick instead of stone, and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves." That's the ego. Otherwise, we will be scattered all over the face of the whole earth. Looks like a tribe was building something, came together with one language, with one commonality, and began to do things. But the Lord, and you will learn about this, but the Lord, and make out of it what you want, okay? There's a lot more diversity, so I beg your pardon, in these words than you can imagine, but I don't have the time to break it down for you. But the Lord came down. It came down from somewhere. Where? To see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, if as one people seeking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. Do you know the reason why you are in conflict with your wife, your children, your next door neighbor, with your government? Is because you have no commonality in language, no congruence. Look how many people make statements and they cannot qualify a single statement. It looks like the Lord, which is a singular, comes down and confuses people by giving them a language of Babel, so they will have no one language, and each one of them spoke a different language to each other. That's the system that you have, which David Wynne Miller bridged. Now listen very carefully what I'm about to tell you. Come, come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. Does that sound to you like a God of creation or destruction, more than destruction? Does that sound like a God of construction to you? A God of congruence? A God of love, understanding? No, all of a sudden this single God has become an us, which is a plural. It looks like there are many lords out there, and it's not a God. It is not a God. It doesn't say so. The Lord, ladies and gentlemen, is an artificial title. These books were not written hundreds of years ago. They were manufactured only a few hundred years ago in preparation for 1850s, when the Olympians wanted to take control of the whole world and try to bring it into darkness like their screwed up FUCK minds to sell you goddamn mortgages, damned mortgages. In other words, it's a condemnation. When you condemn something, it's like a health and safety officer coming along and looking at a scaffolding, and he says, this scaffolding is so goddamn dangerous, I'm condemning it. That's your power, to condemn these freaks. Let us go forth and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. This is a Lord, ladies and gentlemen, not even a God, that has found a way to confuse the hell out of you. So the Lord scattered them from here, there, all over the earth, over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel. How many of you want to partake in this kind of nonsense? But it is a count. It is an account of what you have been witnessed and lived in for so many generations. You have an invisible hand that's not known to you, working, making sure that your language is so screwed up you don't even know the difference between human and people. Did you know when I released that information? Let me speak to you one-on-one, as it were. When I released that information that humans are corporate, that's another word for a corporation like McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Washington, D.C., and etc. The Illuminati took an ad out underneath my my YouTube channel to say, it is believed that the Illuminati are enlightened people bringing light to the world. Make of it what you want. But they did that, I think, for this time, the second time. They did it on a previous occasion sometime last year. Yeah, and it may have been 3 times. But you make of it what you want. And if you guys want evidence for it, I'll send you the evidence. I've got a screenshot of it. I took a screenshot of it. Only of the one a few weeks back, not of the other one. Because I didn't make very much of it. What I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Georgia Guidestones, now that I've educated you, sounds like a very good deal, doesn't it? Do you understand why people all around do you understand why corporations, governments have all been served notice? You're going to see the mass extinction of Washington, D.C. And what's happening in Ukraine is about that level playing field. You're going to see massive extinction of the Nazis there that are hiding out. Do you know that on Sunday, this Sunday, I put you on full screen so you can understand what I'm saying. Please do not, please take this as what it is, as opposed to running connotations with it. I don't often speak about race or racism and stuff, because I explained to you what white means and when I explained to you what black means. These professors that talk about these things have no goddamn idea what they're talking about. They're just masturbating in front of you. We spoke to Shako. We have our meetings on Sundays. And he said to me, his niece said to him, that in the university that she goes to in England, that the Ukrainians that were accepted into this country as part of international settlement, which the United Kingdom government gets paid for, by the way, she said that these students went to the dean of the university and said, we cannot take lessons from this black man or woman. We don't take lessons from these people. We don't want anything to do with them. I want you to get rid of them or put us in different classes. We don't socialize with black people. You guys know what black people is, but what black means, it means no standing. But in its racial connotation, it's like me coming up to you and saying, I don't speak to Chinese people because they're beneath me. I can't get educated by Chinese people because they're beneath me. I can't allow, Chinese people to use the same public lavatories that I use. I'm from Singapore, by the way, where 90% of the population is Chinese. You see, it's challenging, isn't it, to put yourself in that frame of mind. But that's what they are. Yeah? It's incredible, isn't it? The offspring of these Nazis, and that's how they behave. You let them get away with it. If you don't slap them down, in every single way, they'll try to take your world into a dark age. That's human. Yeah, the feelings that I have, not because of race, I care nothing for these things. Yeah, human beings are so screwed up. I tell them, just leave me alone, go away. But they can breezily convert people into being humans. All right. I mean, these are things that I witnessed as a young man or a young boy in school. I mean, you have no idea, you folks out there, you have no idea the world of pain that I come from. In school, outside of my home, as well as in the home. Pain in school, pain outside, pain in the home. It was a hell. Yeah, and they will easily bring this type of hell to you if you are just going to sit there. There's nothing to say that you can't, anoint them with your urine there's nothing to say that you can't offer your defecation to them as part of nourishment. Let them die for what they are. You know, there is zero tolerance for me from these types of people. And, you know, try not to limit yourself with race. You know, expand upon what it is that I'm saying. It's because these humans will spread it all over the things, in all realms, as it were. Their poison is infectious among human people. I thought I'll let you, think about that. Yeah. By the way, do you know why they used to show pictures in the United States of white people constantly beating black people? So-called black people, so-called white people. It's so white people themselves can develop a hatred for fellow white people, as well as create a phobia of white people amongst what you guys call Afro-Caribbeans, which they're not. You understand what I'm saying? I've seen these things in Montana, how the natives are treated, the native people. They have a phobia amongst, shall we say, Caucasian people. A real phobia. I had a phobia of white people because the racialism in this country was so vast. You cannot believe how bad it was. If I told you Americans, you'd be shocked, So, I don't want to take it too personal and go down that route, but that's the hell that they will bring. And that's what Putin is flushing that country off. And there are lots of other countries involved in doing exactly the same, which you folks are not aware of and I don't want to share. But some of those countries you think that are the instigators of this stuff, no, they are active participants with Putin to flush these freaks out once and for all, so they can stop money laundering there. Billions are money laundered on a daily basis, trillions in that country. Yeah, it's very well controlled, so the general public won't know because they are considered sheep. I have students there, and you've seen some of the transmissions about these things. Look, I have to point out, on Telegraph, there's a man copying me, pretending to be a cryptocurrency something, and I don't know who this goddamn freak is, but he's telling people that they should talk to this man called Mark Christopher. This guy's copying me and conning people out, and I'm getting emails and people saying, Mark, this guy's stole money from me, did this, that. Because I'm so big, as it were, I get dozens of these copycats, and so on and so forth. And you guys, give me a second, please. This is MMS mouthwash that I use. It's a mild oxidator. Fantastic stuff. So they're conning people out. So please watch out for these people. I've got nothing to do with them. I've reported them to Telegraph. But it looks like this Telegraph looks like is operated from Dubai and various other places. Looks like just a platform for con artists. Yeah, when we was investigating it, it looks like they're conning lots of other people and mimicking other people as well. The bigger, I become or you become, you get more and more people doing this. These are humans. Yeah, this freak is open for extinction. Who wants this goddamn freak who's giving a false testimonial that you should give, Mark Christopher money or Bitcoins or Ethereum because this fiction character that they've created. So I have to report this to the Interpol, which is additional work for me. So thank you very much for informing me of what they're up to. But boy, does it cause more and more work for me. It looks like I have to take another staff just to police what's happening. But I'm going to give that job to the Interpol. Let them sort it out. I'm going to give them instructions, find them, put them in prison, which is very easy for them to do. Very easy. So it'll take me a couple of weeks to get rid of these freaks out of my life. Okay. By the way, the word Lord is a title. And any title can be taken away. These are the Lords. When you say Lord Jesus, Lord Buddha, the Lord, this is who they are. This is who you're praying to. And you'll find Chinese there and all that sort of stuff from, Buddhistan or whatever it is, all with these fiction lies. These effigies now have a contract with me. They now do what I tell them to do. They're therefore in service of me now. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast in a few minutes, another one, about what I need to tell you about Yellowstone, Montana, and Wyoming. I can't pronounce it properly, Wyoming. You need to listen to it because they're about to steal your homes, your lands, and so on and so forth. It's because the 99-year lease on it has run out. That's a feudal law lease. Okay? So, what I'm saying to you folks is that, you see, Lord, Lord, British Isles, a general title for a prince or sovereign, or for a feudal superior. Feudal means caste system. Caste system means that there are slaves and masters involved. And you are essentially a slave, is what they're saying, because the word feudal and a lord means that they are slave owners. Where there's a lord, there is a slave owner, especially a feudal tenant who holds directly from the king. A baron. Another word for baron is borough. In United Kingdom, the title today denotes a peer of the realm. Peer of a realm is just another word for a lord. Okay? Realm is the Commonwealth realm and a few other jurisdictions, whether or not he sits in Parliament as a member of the House of Lords. So even if he's not in the House of Lords, if he holds that title, he essentially is a slave owner. It's just the slaves just don't know they're slaves, like characters in a computer game called Humanity, just like characters in the movie Matrix. They actually do not know they're walking, talking computer programs, lacking sentient life. Not sentient being, because that's a thinking program. And if it's mechanical, that will be a thinking hardware. That doesn't need a software, or it can have a software. These information I will release on a different date. Okay, that is that. I didn't expect this presentation to go on for nearly an hour, but such is life. So please give me another 10 minutes to start my other live broadcast. And I need to explain to you what's going to be happening in Montana, the farmers there, the ranchers, the homeowners and things, as well as Wyoming. You're going to lose your homes and farms. And I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, so I'll see you in about 10 minutes. So I'll be late on broadcasting. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.